Good morning, everyone. It's very nice to have you here. It's quite cold today, and if you feel cold, just stand up, move a little bit, and hug someone beside you. It might be good.
Wonderful. Welcome from my side. My name is Ursula Arzmann, and I would like to quickly introduce you what we're going to do during this day. So our basic structure is to show you what syntropic farming is in terms of the mindset and of the basic principles and the framework behind it. Because we have noticed that many people go into the field a little bit too fast before understanding how syntropic farming really works. And that's why we're here for, to introduce you to what a syntropic farming mindset will change in terms of how we organize societies, for example, how we handle technology, how we work with economy, and then we will, in the next step, go into the framework explaining what the principles and the viewpoints of syntropic farming are. And in the next step, that's the yellow part, we will look what that means in terms of farming. What are the applied principles when we go into the field and apply it on a farm? And the last point, we would like to introduce our work as Life in Syntropy, why we're here, why we are touring Europe, why we want to bring lots of content to you people to help spreading syntropic farming and make it very successful globally.
And introduce ourselves?
Yes,
this is the core.
That's our core team. We're very small. That's the first important thing to remember. Two of them, Diana and Felipe Pazzini, they are following Ernest since more than 10 years and have been recording his work. And probably many of you have seen the movie Life in Syntropy, which brought Ernest's work into the public. And that's due to these wonderful people who were doing a great job following and registering and making it public to the world.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
First time she says something.
$10. And myself, I'm an environmental engineer and a professional illustrator, which was the cause to join the team to make complex information more easier by using visuals. And Bruno Damas, who is our Portuguese and so far, no, not European. Bruno and I, we are Europeans, Portuguese, and I'm Swiss, just as Ernest is. And we are, as a team, very diverse in our activities, because the first step is we run in Brazil a 160-hectare farm. So we have our hands in the soil, we work, we apply syntropic farming because we also believe it's very important that you can only talk and make videos and learning materials if you understand what it means in the field. The second thing is the teaching of syntropic farming so they can apply it in their own areas. And the most recent baby that came to this crowd is the Life in Syntropy platform, which we have launched when we arrived in Portugal about 3 weeks ago. Our platform is up and running, and it serves to spread the knowledge of syntropic farming and make it available globally to people that have no access to trainings or that do not speak Portuguese. Because the platform is in English and in Portuguese, so we reach as many people as possible around the globe to really have it understood and applied.
Okay, and let me ask you something before we start. Who here is a farmer or working with gardening, or what are the overall... Okay, who here farms? Good. And who doesn't know anything about agriculture and is here just curious? It's good? Everything is good. Okay, if you have any problem understanding, because we're gonna go do some tripping here, and if you have any problem, just let us know. We talk piano. Just in case. And everybody watched Life in Syntropy, or no? No? Okay, let's watch them again. Yes, we need the audio. Oh, but you just take that, yes, that cable there and plug in.
Da vida no planeta, achando que nós somos os inteligentes e não vendo que somos parte de um sistema inteligente.
Grazie. Now we go to this one. Okay guys, just to give you an idea, before we start everything, we're going to show what we do in Brazil, because we live on a farm, and we want just to show you some examples. It's good before we start to show you that it works. Okay, it works, we do that. It's not that we're going to present you some theories and some nice principles. All of that has its practical manifestation and expression for many years, and it works. We can guarantee it works. And one thing that to keep in mind, before you also think, oh, it's just good for the tropics. No. We have to consider that we are in a forest environment, even here. Although in Europe we have a longer history of deforestation, because 1,000 years after Christ, there was almost no forest in Europe anymore. Everything had been deforested by humans. It was us. We did that. Roman Empire, and before, and even before that, 10,000 years ago, one of the fronts of the pioneers of farming, when they entered Europe, they was just degrading everything. And after the last glaciation, 12,000 years ago, when the planet started to warm up again, after some glacial moment, almost 90% of this planet became forest. We can't avoid this. It's not up to interpretation or discussion. You know, if we leave this place with our animals, with our domesticated animals, it will become a forest. Or someone disagree with that. I think it's pretty clear, right? If we live here, possibly in 50 years, when you come back even to this place, there will be a tree growing up here, breaking the cement. So the potential, you say the energy of this place, as almost 90% of the world is forest. So we can't avoid working with forest. It's just being against the flow of life, and that's why we are having so much problem since we started farming 10,000 years ago. So, and Ursula must be crazy with me because I start changing all the sequence of it. When we talk about sintropic farming, and try to keep in mind that we are not counterpointing like the modern farming, the conventional farming after the Second World War or after Industrial Revolution or Green Revolution. We're not here to say that poison is bad, you know, agrochemical is bad, because it is too little to discuss. You know, when it was invented NPK, you know, as inputs, here in Europe they were starving. We didn't know how to farm anymore. You know, it was a miracle that they could offer. You know, there were no more inputs. We didn't know how to do. So it arrived in a moment when Europe was starving in that certain time. Before that, it was all organic. You know, and we want to do everything organic again. Be careful what we are doing. When we see what Tertullian, who was the first guy who writes in Latin in history, close to the Christ's birth, he said, quoting, We can't find the roads arrived everywhere, reached every place. We exhausted our natural resources. We have no future. That guy lived in where today is Tunisia. It was the Carthagena at that time. And it was the frontier of the Roman Empire, the agronomical frontier of the Roman Empire. And it's very current, it's very actual. We could put this on Instagram or Facebook today and it would be still good. And in that time, it was all organic. All with composting, all input that we know already. And it led to collapse because we are again doing against the flow of nature. Displace forests, all forests. Okay, so we're going to show some of our work, what we do in Brazil. We live in this 160 hectare farm. And with Ernest there, we implemented around 10 hectares of demonstration sites. So we have in many ages and very difficult conditions sites that we make it good. What do we have to show now? Okay, I see. Okay, let me show you. I'm going to show you some very short videos. Okay, that would be good. Okay, before I want to talk to you about this. The video I'm going to show you now is about this area here. It was a swamp. You know what a swamp is? It's an area that was so messed up by humans. And I mean, this is a humanized swamp. Then the water gets stuck there. It's a flooded area. Come si dice? Io cercherò di parlare italiano quando non so le parole in inglese, perché ho bisogno di fare una pratica. Here was a flooded area. Nothing grew there. Just like we say, it was a grayish vegetation. You know, it couldn't feed large animals because as the water got stuck, we didn't have oxygen. So the digestion of the organic matter didn't happen. And we had this smell of methane, a lot of superficial aluminum and iron. So, and this area was protected by law in Brazil. So we had to do it illegally. We closed the area so we could work against the law and not letting anyone see and get in. This is how we do environmentalism in Brazil. And what Ernst did was brilliant. He tried to find the natural way of the fiume, of the river, and we just dug manually. So once the water got to flow again, and then we had the best soil ever. And in 3 months, the water that was stuck for more than 30 years, or even more than 40 years, I'm 40 now, and I've been to this farm since I was born. And the water was absolutely toxic. And in 3 months, it was drinkable again. It was potable again. Only 3 months. And in Brazil, and I'm pretty sure all around the world, we have thousands or even millions of hectares in the same condition. We go to the plains and we just we try to build channels, you know, how como se dice, retinalized channels, drainage channels, and then we just kill the place. We kill the flow of the place, the flow of water. You know, because the flow of water, circulation of water, is just like the circulation of blood in our veins. You know, it's not to be stuck. We don't have to build dams and reservoirs or things like this. We need to work to understand the flow of water and enhance it with our maintenance, with our activities, with our intervention with nature. It didn't have any conditions to digest that organic matter. Okay. So after we unclogged the place, we harvested without any input. We had mustard leaves about this big. I never had, green peppers, like more tasty in my life. It was incredible. Everything that we harvest from that had a different taste. just different tastes, not comparable to anything. Ernest just wanted to come, you know, he was coming once a month, just desperate to eat whatever we harvest from that, because it's a very special place with a lot of organic matter. That would be our soils, you know, because I mean, our soils were supposed to be much better than that, but we'll get to it. Okay, and now, okay, just to show you a few pictures of, to emphasize what happened in this brejo. I don't want to spend much time in that. Here you can see the aluminum, you know, like in the surface, because this is what happens when you don't have organic matter and microorganisms in the soil. Microorganisms who can change who can break this bond with aluminum, with iron, with calcium sometimes, depends on the place, and release phosphorus, of course. One of the workshops. This is what amazes me. You see the color. So the photosynthesis is much higher here, and that's what cools the place down, and that's what sucks water from atmosphere. And this is our pump of water, and also this is a place where we grow food that's good for us. See, even clearer here. This place was not worked yet, and this one is worked.
The first intervention was to redesign, rebuild the river.
Yeah, the first intervention was this one.
And then, can you please?
Yes, and then the first year.
Break down, please.
Yeah, we couldn't walk before because we walked with water here, and then we waited for the dry season where the water was a little bit lower, and then Ernest started. We started with some, you know, cutting grass and cutting the vegetation to start the work. And then we did some trials with plants in many places, just to see how the plants would behave. And we put everything, as Ernest says, we put what we knew it would grow, what we wanted to grow, and what we wanted very much to grow. And this tells us, it's an indicator of the quality of the soil. So we did this, and then we start digging. And after, you see here's already the lines of vegetables and trees. Now we have lines of trees here. You know, we have many kinds of trees. We have cocoa, we have so many native trees and exotics as well, because we welcome everybody. And yes, and then here was vegetables a little bit higher. You see some trees growing. Difficult to see, but there are 3 lines. This is after almost 1 year. You know, it's difficult to see precisely, but we have 3 lines here, and we have vegetable beds. It was vegetable beds in the beginning, and now they are also 3 lines and grass lines, because we also grow our own input. We don't bring input from outside. That's the idea. Okay, this is another experiment. We did this one. We did more following the model that Ernest developed with João and Romulo in Brasilia. It's aimed to have vegetables in the beginning. What we call horta floresta is horticulture with forestry. Okay, here was a grass, was like this. Was a very weak grass, Brachiaria umidicula, which is it's a very short grass. It starts flowering very early. Not interesting. This is the beginning. Like we have 3 lines everywhere, and here vegetables, very stratified. I mean, we don't use just one bed of vegetables. It doesn't make any sense to have one bed of lettuce, another bed of something. To us, it doesn't make any sense. We always have everything together. Oh, here was a nice day when we invited a social work that they work with music, and our idea is to bring culture back to agriculture. So we try to do some effort in this direction as well. It was como se dice, concerto, faz sentido, concerto per hortaliças. Okay, this is after a while. This is also, I think Ursula Those are the pictures included. It's how we do with organic matter.
And here, it might look like a monoculture of melanzane, but this is a line with trees. It just is not visible yet that this is the tree line. If you go,
Here's an eucalyptus.
yeah, if you go one further, you see the details underneath the melanzane. So this is like underneath. You already see on the left-hand side, you see the banana growing. In the middle is a eucalyptus. On the right-hand side is a mandioca, a cassava. So the plants have their cycle, and you see them probably looking like a monoculture for a short while, but underneath is already the next generation growing up to replace them. When we harvest them, there is already the next plant there to fill that space.
And here is August 2017. You know, it becomes a forest, and we can manage this forest. We are doing it now. We opened. You see here we already did. We pruned the eucalyptus, we pruned the bananas, we put everything down, like to mimicking a clearing of a forest, and then we restart with the placenta species that we'll talk a little bit later to have a new vegetable cycle in a condition much better than when we started. So at certain points we won't need any external fertilizer. It's just like the own dynamics of the place will provide whatever we need. Okay, should we go to this video as well? Very short one. As to read the presentation mode. Okay, this is the last video. Where is it? Okay, this is just to show that some people think that, oh, we need a big area to start. No, we did. In front of our house, there was a parking lot that didn't make much sense.
Like that.
Yeah, it was like this. And then we decided to do something. Actually, it was Ernest's idea, and it's, oh, here it's so ugly, let's do something. And then it was him and Rommel, and then everybody got